everyone, I'm Angela with Burnley and Trowbridge, and you're joining us today for a mini sew-along on putting in an underarm gusset. In the 18th century, in shirts and shifts, you often found a square of fabric inserted between the body of the garment and the sleeve to give ease under the arm. This gusset remained in men's shirts into the 19th century and in some women's shifts. Using this order of construction, I can guarantee you will have a neatly finished gusset in the end. I have an example here that we did earlier, and you can see from the inside how beautifully done it is, and that's what we're looking for. If you're not familiar with the construction of a shirt or shift, check out our sew-alongs linked below. To begin with, you'll start with your sleeve rectangle and your gusset square cut to the dimensions that you've determined through measuring or as your pattern calls for. Mark the top and the bottom of your sleeve, so top and bottom, and then fold your sleeve in half, pinning it at the seam line, leaving about 6 inches open at the top and the bottom. Now, since I'm doing a small sleeve, sort of a mini sleeve here, I'm going to leave some open at the top and some open at the bottom, but I'm going to take into account the square that I've made and measure it accordingly. So taking away a seam allowance, which I'm going to make a 1/2 inch, like so, I am going to measure that. So I'm going to mark it there, and then I'm going to leave a little bit below because that would be eventually the vent that I would leave at the wrist for my wristband. So we'll pin that in place. Now, using the two sides of your body of your sleeve, you're going to take one side and you're going to pin it to one side of your square, aligning the top part here. Turn it over. Do the other side as well. Again, you want to align it. All right, now that you have all of your pinning done, you're going to start at the top, and because we want to turn our seams in and fell them, we are going to stitch from the outside here, like so, so that our front side of our stitch will show here. So I'm going to anchor my thread and start doing my back stitch. So once you've completed it, you should have a nice corner here, and then when you've continued down all the way down here, you'll be turning this edge in first, and then this edge will go over it. So we will first start by trimming the inside. So once you have this short seam done here and it meets here, and you've got a nice little corner here. Then, and of course we have our long seam here, we are going to cut these edges and turn our short seam first. One of the nice things about linen is that it can be finger pressed or pressed down with a bone press or whatever you have handy, a wood press. And then turn it again. And that's going to create your finished edge. And as you can see, you're going to have your finished stitch mark here. When you go to this side and you turn it, this whole side is going to turn on top of that side and make a nice, clean corner for you. I will do all of that to show you how all that goes together. But before we get to that point, we're going to be inserting this into the body of our shirt or our shift. Now typically the shirt or the shift would have some type of gathering up here, just like this one here does. So you would be doing a double row of gathering, and then you would be inserting it into your shirt or shift by doing just a plain running stitch and then a second plain running stitch. So we'll do that quickly. So we've stitched along this long line. This is the front side. We have our back side. We now have the short line stitched, and we've trimmed, and that will later be turned. But now we've gone ahead and we have done our running stitch in order to pull the top of our sleeve up so that we can do our gathering. And so we're going to go ahead and pull that up to fit into our sleeve opening. I have marked it here, the actual sleeve opening that I have with this pin. So I'm just going to keep gathering until I have that size. And this is going to include the other two sides of my gusset. So I've now pulled it up to, seems to be about the right size. So you want to do right sides to right sides. I've got it wrong side up because we're going to be seaming along here. So I'm going to take my corner and do like I did with the sleeve itself. I'm going to place that corner right at that pin, right at that point, and I'm going to start pinning it in at approximately 1/2 inch seam allowance. Take it up to the end of your gusset, then go ahead over on the other side and pin that side in so that it's nice and smooth. All right, so you've got your gusset pinned in, and then you'll continue on to pin in the rest of your sleeve, gathering up evenly and matching your center point. So you should have marked on your the body of your shift or your shirt the center point. Here I've just made a crease, but I can mark it with a pin, which is what I'll do, so that I have a better marking. But you're going to match those center points, and then you will gather to the right and left evenly until it fits. All right, now we have our whole gusset set in. So we did our long seam first with our back stitch going all the way down. I didn't for the sake of time. And then we did our back stitch here. So the front side of the back stitch goes down to this point and meets the back of the back stitch, which means that we now have the back of the back stitch on all four corners of our gusset. I had already cut these two pieces down. I'm now going to trim these two pieces. Now that you've cut all the edges on your gusset, of course you need to cut one edge along your sleeve body and along the body of your shift or shirt. So make sure that you cut the edge that is where the back stitch, the back of your back stitch is. So we're going to cut this edge. And you can see I'm cutting down here, and you'll see why. It's all a matter of how you fell everything so that one side covers another when we turn everything in. And this, of course, will get finished for the vent. Again, you're going to do it here on your body. So again, you're going to look for the back. This is your back. So that's the part that's going to get cut down. You can also offset, but it depends. Sometimes I get a little confused when I'm offsetting and I can't remember which side I should offset. So sometimes it's easier just to go back and trim it. So because you want the long sides to cover the short sides, you'll start with your short side. So we're going to press this down to enclose your raw edge. You'll do it again on this short side too. And those you're going to fell down. Now by filling it, that means that you're only going to have tiny little stitches that'll show in the front, and those stitches will be little straight stitches. Now if you are not familiar with filling, you can go to our tutorial. It is also listed down below, and that will tell you how to do a filling stitch. So once your two short sides are done, then you can start laying over your long sides, and that will very neatly cover your short sides. So finally, you've turned under all of your edges and you've neatly filled them in place for a neat and smooth appearance. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this mini sew-along on inserting a gusset. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you find our videos helpful. And until next time, happy sewing!